Im gemeinen Leben kommen wir mit der Sprache notdürftig aus, weil wir nur oberflächliche Verhältnisse bezeichnen. Sobald von tieferen Verhältnissen die Rede ist, tritt sogleich eine andere Sprache ein, die poetische.
Why don't I read a poem? I mean, sure, go ahead. A legal poem. Go ahead, sure. Do you have one? A legal poem? White fog lifting and falling on the mountain brow. Trees moving in rivers of wind. The clouds arise as on a wave. Gigantic eddy lifting mist above teeming ferns, exquisitely swayed along a green crag glimpsed through mullioned glass in valley rain. Nice opening.
I have the feeling that sound is acting, and I love the activity of sound. What it does is it gets louder and quieter, and it gets higher and lower, and it gets longer and shorter. It does all those things which I'm completely satisfied with that. I don't need sound to talk to me.
The flaneur, he wanders, he observes, the Musée d'Orsay. He detaches himself from the art. He sees by observing those around him. He creates his own new art, calls it flânerie. The flaneur notices that people interact with the art in different ways. Some to become cultured, others to show wealth or status. The flaneur observes it all. He stops, he takes note, he moves on. For the art of wandering never changes for him.
let me begin by referring to something that I've already discussed. That is, if it is correct, as I believe it is, that a fundamental element of human nature is the need for creative work, for creative inquiry, for free creation without the arbitrary limiting effects of coercive institutions, then, of course, it will follow that a decent society should maximize the possibilities for this fundamental human characteristic to be realized. That means trying to overcome the elements of repression and oppression and destruction and coercion that exist in any existing society, ours, for example, as a historical residue.
Postmodern was sort of this icon, this high, great idea about the time within which we all live. Supposedly, this was the sort of myth of academic philosophy that I was led into. I'm searching for the meaning of the postmodern. What does it mean that the modern has ended? Or what is the end of the modern? Which is not a diminishment of philosophy, it just sets philosophy a new task. Whereas in the past it was supposed to pretend to the universal or to the eternal, pretend to possession of spirit, without having to consider or relate to or be mediated by the personal or the individual or the autobiographical. Philosophy was the pursuit of wisdom, which was beyond personality.
Okay. Class, is everyone listening? Now, nothing is original, okay? So you can steal from anywhere that resonates with inspiration and fuels your imagination, okay? Okay. Now you can devour old films, new films, music, books, paintings, photographs, poems, dreams, random conversations, architecture, buildings, bridges, trees, cloud formations, bodies of water, even light and shadows. Now, I want you to select only those things to steal from that speak directly to your soul. All right? Now, if you do this, your work and your theft will be authentic. All right? Now, authenticity is invaluable. Okay? Now, originality is non-existent. So don't bother trying to conceal your thievery. You can celebrate it, if you feel like it. All right? All right. It's not where you take things from. It's where you take them to.
task of the artist. The task of the artist is to communicate. And to communicate is to go beyond oneself, to move outside oneself in order to share oneself with the other. So the artist, unlike the philosopher, is trying to create perceptions and to transmute sensations such that the perceptual or the sensory world becomes problematic to us in an as yet unforeseen way. So art is a form of experimentation on experience that transforms what had been naturally or innately given into what has now been tampered with, instrumentalized, and transformed or reproduced in some as yet unforeseen way. So the pure past, the past which has never been present, becomes present. The way it becomes contracted or condensed into the duration of the passing moment. And this is memory, of course. And so the artist is trying to become conscious not only of what is remembered, of the products of memory, but of the process of memory itself. Draw up sort of perceptions and concepts, the artist percepts and the philosopher concepts, that then become conscious. So what normally happens unconsciously to us, the formation of our habitual modes of perception, for the artist becomes conscious. We become to intentionally engage it, with craft and skill, and in that way to call forth from it something which had not yet been there. So of course, philosophy and art and science in its own way, these are all creative endeavors. Not simply, it's not simply that philosophy discovers pre-made concepts floating in the sky, just awaiting actualization by a thinker, by a philosopher. Nor is the artist just shedding light on things which were already there, percepts of things which were already there in the world. The artist discovers light as itself the source or the ground of things, so that one does not simply shine light on an already existing thing. When one turns the light, when one shines the light according to a different color or a different shade, one's actually creating new things, not simply discovering things which were already there. Things are a mode of shining, in other words, or light is constitutive of things, and you don't get things there waiting in the perceptual world for the eye to gaze upon. It's the way that the eye gazes, as much as the thing gazed upon, that gives rise to our perceptual experience. So the artist is tampering in this realm of the sensory, right, which is neither simply that which senses or the thing sensed. The sense world, or the sense world separates it from self. Sense includes the perceiver and the perceived, right? And the artist will vibrate the connections between the two, transforming both at once.
Well, what about Aristotle?
What about Aristotle? I've never read Aristotle. What can he tell us anyway?
Well, this time I was just faking it because, I, for the purposes of continuity, I had to read this poem, but I hadn't read it for some time, and I left out a verse, and I'd forgotten the meaning of the whole poem.
has something in common with many other works of art. And the reason to check it out is the same reason that you would try any piece of music or painting. Or for me, I try to do the same thing, that is to get lost in this work of art. So you can get lost in a Goya painting, the Prado. You can really get lost in that world. You can get lost in a book. You can get lost in a poem. You can get... So for me, art is about getting lost in another world.
A small green valley where a slow stream flows and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. From mountain top stream the sun's rays. They fill the hollow full of light. A soldier, very young, lies open-mouthed, a pillow made of fern beneath his head. Asleep, stretched in the heavy undergrowth, pale in his warm, green, sun-soaked bed. His feet among the flowers, he sleeps. He smiles like an infant, gentle, without guile. With nature, keep him warm, he may catch cold.
I used to believe that language gave us a picture of the world. But it can't give us a picture of how it does that. That would be like trying to see yourself seeing something. How language does that is beyond expression. That is the mystery. That was all wrong. Language isn't the picture at all.
What is it then?
It's a tool, an instrument. There isn't just one picture of the world. There are lots of different language games, different forms of life, different ways of doing things with words. They don't all hang together.
What do you mean?
All I mean is the limits of my language are the limits of my world. We keep running up against the walls of our cage.
Well, it doesn't disturb me because I don't think anything was at stake. But I think that the message comes through, you know, with the body, with the eyes and the voice. You could really be reading the instructions from a shoe polish can.
Oh, natural. Tell me, why does it seem more natural for people to believe that the sun goes around the earth rather than the other way around?
Well, obviously because it looks that way.
I see. And how would it look if the earth went around the sun?
Well, I suppose... Yes, I see what you mean.
Well, it depends. You know, if you want shiny shoes, then you want to. If you want people to have shiny shoes, you want to write those kind of very good instructions. And if you want to polish other parts of yourself, you do it with poetry.
There the separation of the radical intelligentsia from popular struggle is a much more, it shows much more dramatically. I mean, people are much poorer and they're suffering much more, and these guys are usually very rich, in fact, often, and it's ugly. But I think it has served a function. I don't want to say that the people who are involved in it necessarily do it for this reason. In fact, I know extremely good people who are very active and I respect and like and so on, who are right in this stuff. I don't know why, but means something to them. But as a general phenomenon, I think that's the way it's worked. It's worked as a way of insulating sectors of a kind of radical intelligentsia from popular movements and actual activism, and it served as an instrument of power.
The picture theory of language is a result of something called logical atomism. Logical atomism is the idea that you can analyze language by boiling it down into its most basic constituents, its most basic parts. The world is the totality of facts, not of things. One of the sub-proposition is that the existence of a fact is a state of affairs. The idea is that, in the world, you have objects, and the objects can be arranged and combined in different ways, and the point of words is to describe the way the objects are combined. The picture theory of meaning is quite correct for some uses of language, but not all of them. To show them as invaluable in understanding language, which turns the picture theory of meaning into a sort of quaint and overcomplicated way of describing how declarative statements work. Humans exist in this universe, this reality, so the structure of this reality, whatever it is, determines the structure of human language. So if I can figure out what the structure of language is, that will give me a fulcrum where I can divine the structure of reality. The Tractatus makes this clear when it says that logic is transcendent. The idea is that logic reflects the structure of the underlying reality, so the logic of language can clue you into the logic of reality, albeit in a very generalized way. The picture theory of meaning is meant to get at the heart of language in order to get to the heart of the world.
For me, painting isn't just about sticking a bit of paint on a canvas or copying an idea. It's about understanding how something feels, translating that in colours and shapes and forms and textures. And these particular pieces explore texture so well. See, I've mapped it out in charcoal, I've started sticking some of the pieces on. They don't always go to plan, they never do. But this one, it needs a little bit more up here just to stick this bit back down, but I've still got some of these wonderful textures that are just starting to creep through, and 3 or 4 layers more, then we can start painting.
space and time. Now I see it is true what I guessed at, what I guessed when I loafed on the grass, what I guessed while I lay alone in my bed, and again as I walked the beach under the paling stars of the morning. I know I have the best of time and space, and was never measured and never will be measured. I tramp a perpetual journey. Come, listen all. My signs are a rainproof coat, good shoes, and a staff cut from the woods. No friend of mine takes his ease in my chair. I have no chair, no church, no philosophy. I lead no man to a dinner table, library, exchange, but each man and each woman of you I lead upon a knoll, my left hand hooking you round the waist, my right hand pointing to landscapes of continents and the public road. Not I, not anyone else can travel that road for you. You must travel it for yourself. It is not far. It is within reach. Perhaps you have been on it since you were born and did not know. Perhaps it is everywhere, on water and on land. Shoulder your duds, dear son, and I will mine, and let us hasten forth. Wonderful cities and free nations we shall fetch as we go. If you tire, give me both burdens, and rest the chuff of your hand on my hip, and in due time you shall repay the same service to me, for after we start, we never lie by again. This day before dawn, I ascended a hill and looked at the crowded heaven, and I said to my spirit, when we become the enfolders of those orbs, and the pleasure and knowledge of everything in them, shall we be filled and satisfied then? And my spirit said, no, we but level that lift to pass, and continue beyond.
by the road to the contagious hospital, under the surge of the blue mottled clouds driven from the northeast. A cold wind. Beyond, the waste of broad, muddy fields brown with dried weeds standing and fallen. Patches of standing water. The scattering of tall trees. All along the road, the reddish, purplish, forked, upstanding, twiggy stuff of bushes, and small trees with dead brown leaves under them. Leafless vines. Lifeless in appearance, sluggish, dazed, spring approaches. They enter the new world naked, cold, uncertain of all save that they enter. All about them the cold, familiar wind. Now the grass, tomorrow the stiff curl of wild carrot leaf. One by one, objects are defined. It quickens, clarity. Outline of leaf. But now the stark dignity of entrance. Still, the profound change has come upon them. Rooted, they grip down and begin to awaken.
The movie camera lets us savor the mobility of each face. The still camera embalms it. Photographs show people there and then, grouping together people and things which a moment later have already disbanded, changed, continued along the course of their independent destinies. Photographs are the way we possess people, places, time. They're the way we capture experience.
I know this is a vision. Everything will disappear eventually. That is important to remember because there's too great a keenness in wanting to transcend. And it's all an illusion in a way. But I just want to be authentic in whatever I do. If it remains for a while, I'll be happy. If you want, probably, if I would need to add a concept to this idea of how to be remembered, it would be just to show individual vision, you know, that each one of us has his own vision, and that we have to find our own voice, and each voice is always original, rather than wanting to be the good illustrator of a good system that already exists as a pre-structure. I want to show that we can all find our own ways of expressing. That's I think the most important thing for me.
Only on me, lonely, unending stars of the night show. Stone fountain whispers its magic song, to me alone, to me alone. Colorful shadows of the wandering clouds move like dreams over the open countryside. Neither house nor family, neither forest nor hunting privileges given to me. What is mine belongs to no one. The plunging brook behind the veil of the woods, the frightened sea,
the word fear of children at play, the weeping and singing, lonely in the evening of a man secretly in love. Temples of the gods are mine also, and mine, the aristocratic groves of the past, and no lives the limnos. Vault of heaven in the future is my home. Often in full flight of longing my soul storms upward, to gaze on the future of blessing. Love overcoming the love, love from people to people, I find them all again, not be transformed. Farmer, king, tradesman, busy sailors, shepherd and gardener, all of them gratefully celebrate the festival of the future world. Only the poet is missing, the lonely one who looks on, the bearer of human longing, the pale image, of whom the future, the fulfillment of the world, has no future need, many garlands, bells on his brain, but no one remembers.